So less than 24 hours after Venezuela declared Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister persona non grata, basically barred from entering Venezuela ever again, Nicolás Maduro is now calling for peace. Let that sink in for a second. The man who threatened his neighbors, literally tried to strong-arm Guyana, and publicly lashed out at Trinidad and Tobago for allowing US military ships to dock in our harbour, is now calling for peace. Less than 24 hours after he named Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago persona non grata. What changed in a little bit of time? Yesterday, Venezuelan nationals took to their streets in protest, chanting against Trinidadian government, burning flags, the whole 9 yards, just because our government allowed US military ships to dock in Port of Spain. And that protest is what triggered Nicolás Maduro to label our Prime Minister as persona non grata, which is basically a diplomatic term for we don't want you here and you're not ever welcome. You cannot enter. But just a couple hours after that, this man decided to make a complete 180, spin right around to the other direction and be like, he calling for peace and unity in the region. What? Now, here we're not making sense to me and why I want to unpack in this video, right? How the person who started the problem asking somebody else to stop the problem now. The same energy Nicolás Maduro have towards Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, why he don't have that same energy towards Donald Trump? You know, the person who actually calling the airstrikes and blowing up your ships right now? Because he know the truth of the matter is you don't need 400 horsepower engines to fish in local waters. But you want to take that out on the little country next to you called Trinidad and ignore the people who actually blowing up the boats. The truth is, he know he cannot fight America and win. That's the bottom line. So what he resort to, he literally looking around the bodyguard that is the US military standing in front of Port of Spain right now and looking at the little tiny Trinidad behind the bodyguard and trying to bully them instead of actually tackling the real problem. And that is basically what it is. It's him posturing. It's him bluffing. He know he not capable of doing anything once the US government in Port of Spain. And that is basically what have him so upset right now. Because the US presence here in these waters have Ibamsi clapping more than Elephant Man when he trying to pond the river and the bank at the same time.
What did he say?
He's nervous, desperate, grasping at straws, literally. You could see it. It's apparent. The kicker behind this whole thing is the Venezuelans who are here right now in Trinidad illegally, voicing their opinions. And I'm going to post one such comment on our post, right? They are voicing their opinions on President Maduro, talking about how much of them had to leave their country because of his dictatorship-style ruling. And now with the talks from Homeland Security Minister in Trinidad and the Prime Minister about mass deportations when Venezuelan government decided to scrap the whole dragon gas deal. Now that happening, now Nicolás Maduro talking about, let me talk about peace in the region. That is not diplomacy. That is desperation. And listen, nobody wants conflict. No sane person wants to see the Caribbean become a battleground, especially if on a scale like World War III. But you can't throw a stone, hide a hand, and then cry and call for peace when the world starts looking your way. If you instigate, threaten, bully, you can't just want to flip the script overnight and play victim and call for peace, and then want to spin the whole rhetoric and make yourself look like the victim. Everybody bullying you now. So the question I wanted to ask in this video, is this a genuine call for peace, or is this a desperate move made out of fear? Because every action that we have seen so far, from cutting gas deals to protests to mass deportation to labeling the Prime Minister of Trinidad persona non grata, then switching everything back to beg now for calm. It looks like a man who realized that he just might have picked the wrong fight. And that's basically the story that continuing to unfold here right now. The prelude to a possible World War III, the Caribbean arc. Something that we're trying to avoid so much right now. So you let me know in the comment section below. Do you think that this is a genuine call for peace from the president of Venezuela? Or is this an act of desperation out of fear? Either way, I believe that peace should be the ultimate outcome. This whole talk about war and bombing and blowing up, get a handle on the drug trade. Yes, but this talk of retaliation because you think they're blowing up your fishermen when you know the truth. Let me stop that bullshit right there. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. For them followers reviews, it's Jeremy, and I'll see everybody in the next one. Later.